All right. All right, Ed. I like to start to get to know, just a little bit more about like your background or your story. Like what really inspired you to get into real estate and what's kept you in the game?
Sure. So my love of real estate really started when I was a kid, believe it or not. I grew up in a mid-century contemporary home, which was mid-century, so it wasn't really called that. But it was actually designed by my father, and I was always fascinated by modern house designs. And so even for fun, I used to like design houses and build little balsa wood models of those houses. So it was really a passion of mine back then. And then, over the years, my career took me in a very different direction, into technology. And I spent decades now developing innovative ways to use computers to streamline businesses. In the 1990s, I built a company that called BX.com that was pioneering websites. We kind of pioneered e-commerce and internet marketing strategies. Really, so helping companies succeed and helping companies use the internet first and then succeed in that process. So fast forwarding about 30 years, I semi-retired from the internet marketing world, and but I never lost that passion for home design and houses and exploring them. So about 10 years ago, I decided to follow that passion, become a realtor. And I quickly discovered that I loved working with people and families and helping them find houses that felt like home and building relationships that way and helping them find the means and all of the elements that go into buying a home or selling a home. So
Yeah.
that's kind of the journey that got me here, and that's what I do.
That's awesome. That's awesome. It's very cool to talk to different agents and just watch their path and see how different everybody started to where they came into it. Um,
Mhm.
because I think some people kind of fall into it and then they're like, oh, this would be great. Oh, this, and then next thing you know, they fall in love with it.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
what would you say makes you kind of like that? What makes your market or your approach a little different than anybody else in your area?
Sure. Well, beyond just selling homes, I've always thought about marketing and more effectively than is being done today. I mean, it's always evolving and it's always improving, as you know, with what Agent Elite does. So finding my way to kind of leverage my background in technology to make the home buying and selling experiences smoother. Um, it makes it more innovative and more client focused, and that gets me very excited. So I think that's what makes my brand stand out. I combine there's the traditional relationship based approach, which is never going away from buying a house because it's an emotional effort. But being there for every step of my clients, every step of the way with kind of using cutting edge digital marketing and tools that showcase homes. Um, and really I like connecting buyers in new ways and sellers in new ways. So Agent Elite interested me when I first noticed you, and I've gotten involved using your tools because you provide a lot of the tools, evolving tools, and staying at the forefront of the industry so that clients can find what they want, what they need. Um, so in addition to obviously Agent Elite, I've aligned myself with William Ravis as my broker. Um, William Ravis was recently recognized as the #1 luxury brokerage for 2025 and has won the #1 awards in recent years. It's a great organization, much more interesting than your kind of standard run-of-the-mill
Standard.
company. Yeah.
Yeah.
And now we have launched a new concierge service, trying to find ways that we can help people more than just a list.
Yeah.
So we with really the concierge service helps enables, it's a package, a one-stop shopping, if you will, even though that's a terrible term to use, but of the buying, the sales, the insurance, the mortgages, the relocation support, turning on the utilities, and we can make what is often stressful because there's so many pieces that people don't know about, um, we make it seamless and make it easy. So that's by offering the the tools on Agent Elite and the tools that I can provide through the infrastructure of Ravis, I think makes my services unique.
Yeah, absolutely. Um, how long have you been a client of Agent Elite?
How long I'm sorry?
How long have you been a client of Agent Elite?
It's a good question. I'd say a couple of years. It's hard to know.
Yeah, it's hard to remember. It's hard to remember the good things, right?
Um,
Um, when you came to us and everything, is there anything that you were looking for particularly? Or I know agents get called constantly about, marketing, lead buying, doing this for them. Like, what was it that stood out for you, and why did you decide to partner with us?
I like the fact that you were very involved with the technology and the back end, and
Hmm.
really thinking about how to make home buying and home selling easier for the consumer, um, as well as for the agent.
Yeah.
So the fact that you did all of that, I had a website with another company before I switched over to you. I got excited when I saw what you were offering and the CRM services, et cetera, and that's what made me do this, and I was fulfilled. So
Yeah.
it's good.
Um, now, has there been anything that has made a big impact on your business, whether it's the automation or the website or different things that have really helped you in your day to day?
Yeah, the ease of broadcasting my website, if that's a term, um, and then sending them to Agent Elite is has really been it's very streamlined and it's simple, and they
Hmm.
get to my site and it's new and united as you well know. I'm work I've got a new site from you that's I'm very excited
Yeah,
about.
I'm stoked on the new one. It's looking
Yeah,
great. So,
trying to do things a little different. You know, and one of the things that has continues to strike me about this whole industry, the real estate industry, is that every transaction is unique. I say this to everybody. You'd think there are thousands of houses sold every day. You'd think it would just be cookie cutter. I'm buying, I'm selling. It's simple, but there's always something wrong. Whether it's a surprise in the deed issue or a financing
yeah.
hiccup or an easement or construction, there's always something more interesting and challenging to deal with. Um, so, when I think about that, I my advice to my clients and to other agents for that matter, is as long as the buyer wants the house and the seller wants to sell the house, you find a way to work through it and you focus on that end solution and the deal goes through and everybody's happy. Uh,
Hmm.
so that's where I try to get to. Um,
Yeah. It
and
can be challenging too sometimes, right?
Oh,
Um,
absolutely. It's always challenging. I should say. It's very rare that it's there's not some sort of hiccup, but
yeah.
we get through it.
And that's why, when the NAR lawsuits and all those things came out last year, 24, um, it was baffling. And even today, when they're saying and claiming that real estate agents make too much money, and it's like, but you don't see the hours they put in before ever getting paid,
You've got
and
it.
the times that a client, they drive around, they show them everything, but then they ghost you or things like that. How do you deal with like those types of obstacles in your industry?
I always try to be positive with the client, understand why they're, if they're thinking about ghosting me, I want to know why,
Yeah.
and hopefully stop them. I mean, I do this also. I want to make the money, um, but I always try to understand my undergraduate degree, which is totally left field from my journey I told you before, was social psychology,
Yeah.
and and I find I use that more more than anything. I always have in my career. Um, it's and all these changes in the laws are baffling to me as well. But we get through them, and again, I go back to the fact that you know let's make it happen. If there's a challenge, let's get through it because you don't want a deal to fall apart for some obscure reason that has nothing to do with
Yeah.
what people want to do. So you never
Yeah.
stop learning. The market shifts, the expectations change, the laws change, and technology keeps advancing. Um, so I think the more adaptable you are, the more successful you can be, and the happier your clients are. So that's
Yeah. With that, especially like the psychology piece, like you're dealing with humans, right? It's people to
right.
people. It's not just some commodity, some product. It's like you're trying to understand the person and then, finding that solution for them. So
And it's very
psychology is huge.
emotional. Yeah.
Yeah.
Uh, it's very emotional for them. It's the biggest purchase they may have ever made and may ever make. And you're dealing with families and husbands and wives and kids that all have different perspectives, and it's fun for me
Yeah.
as long as it's
Yeah,
successful.
it's never a dull moment, right? Like there's always
Right.
something. When you're going through and you're dealing, like you said, every transaction is different. Everyone, every story is a little different. Like, which strategies have actually worked for you when it comes to staying visible or relevant within the your community?
Um, it's again, it's you have to be both online and offline. Um, in communities that I work with here in Metro West Boston, um, in Metro West, it tends to be luxury houses, and
Hmm.
that's very different than when I'm selling a house or buying a house in downtown Boston. They're different cultures and different perspectives. Um, so you really have to pay attention and see where they're going and where they want to go. Um,
Yeah,
and you want to keep the client expectations. They keep evolving, and you have to go with them. And I think Agent Elite, beautifully designed, easy to use websites enables me to use that tool as well with people to say, here's some specialties, here's a report that I can give you every day. It says
yeah,
these are the kinds of houses you like. Um, and let's tweak it so that you see things you like and we'll follow through in life. Um, and again, the back end is something that, you talk about what people say, why do agents make so much? Um, there's so much that goes on in the back end and people's interest in tracking trends and social media presence, and all the deals you have to do in the state, city and town reports. So, it's all what I think the websites do and the technology does is helps serve my clients with more information and better
yeah,
information. Uh,
yeah. How do you juggle everything that you just described, like the offline, the online, and the relationship, and then it's like, I mean, at the end of the day, you're running a
yes.
small business, right? And so you're constantly juggling. You wear 20 different hats. Like, how do you juggle it all?
Um, you just do it.
I love
I,
it.
I don't know what, real estate, back to your point, people say, well, all you're doing is opening the door and showing people the house. That's not true. You're constantly juggling and you're constantly trying to stay a step ahead and helping people so that they're not concerned. They're not they
Yeah,
and you just juggle. My phone rang 9:30 last night about
yeah,
something, and when you're a lot of businesses, you don't answer those calls. In this business, you go, oh wow. Told my wife to push pause on the movie, and there I went into the basement.
right.
Uh, and
Uh,
go ahead. Sorry.
no, go ahead, please.
No, I was going to just also mention again a great thing about Agent Elite. You've been recognized by the Inc. 500 for your innovation. Um, and you're a great partner. I mean, you are real people. We talked, you talked to me, and the systems help generate leads and close more deals for my client, and keep them happy. And, I want to add kudos for someone like
Thank you.
Andrea, who's been a pleasure to work with. And
Awesome.
everybody I've talked to in your company has been a pleasure to talk with.
Oh, that's amazing. I love hearing that. I don't get to have the interactions as much as I used to anymore.
Sure,
And
sure.
so that's why it was really exciting for me to be the one that gets to, speak with our clients and the beta clients and, you know, what's been successful for them and, what's been the challenges. Like the the industry is constantly changing. Consumer tendencies are constantly changing. And
Mhm.
um, what we do today is different than last year, different than COVID, different than pre-COVID,
Right.
recessions, things like that. And um, the biggest goal that we have is to help agents be more successful, right? We want the industry in general to be more successful. And if we can get more voices out in the open or more agents speaking to other agents, things like that, it, we think it can really help the industry
Absolutely.
and get more awareness out there just to people in general and consumers, um, so that they're not controlled by, just the news and NAR lawsuits, things like that.
Yeah, yeah. And that's a challenge that every
Yeah,
agent, the entire industry is wrestling with,
yeah.
how do we work around these our changes, and how do we make them to our benefit rather
Hmm.
than
How have you done that?
well, a lot of it is the concierge services that,
Yeah,
Davis has put together to say, well, let's make it easy for these people. Maybe it costs a little more, but you know, the issues go away, and the headaches go away for the buyer.
yeah,
Um, and then evolving to you know, just working around the questions of the commissions, et cetera. It all works out. It's just changing the names and changing the words to some extent.
yeah, yeah. I I definitely have seen that through the last year and everything, but the adaptability and resilience that agents have, um, definitely the ones that have stuck around instead of just bounce, definitely is gonna hold. It just shows the success that is going to open up.
Mhm.
Also the care and compassion that you guys carry for people in general. So kudos to
Yeah.
being an agent. I don't envy you because I don't think I could be an agent myself. Just for the fact that I know what it was like when I was buying a home, and the you know I was that one that called my realtor at 9 o'clock at night, like, wait, what is this?
Yep.
Um, and so it definitely takes a strong character. What would you say, Ed, is why why choose to have your own brand, your own website versus, like, I'm sure your brokerage, your company gi- gives you something free to use or part of your dues. Like, why have your own versus that?
Because it enables me to be different and better. They're the website that they built for me. It's out there somewhere, and it's okay. It has my name and it has the listings, but um, as you've seen, and people can see in my website and in edweisbergrealestate.com, I've spent a lot of time building stories and advice and um, ways to make this all easier and more understandable for people. I mean, I even, recently my brother is selling his house, and he asked the same questions that other people ask. He said, well, why do I have to, he's in North Carolina, so I'm not helping him. But, why does the agent have to make money? All they do is open the door. I was like, no. You know, you'd be, you, they have, he has no idea what goes on behind the scenes.
Yeah, yeah. Would you say that that's one probably a common misconception that consumers have about real estate agents is just the lack of understanding of what goes on behind the scenes?
Oh yeah. And sometimes someone the other day brought up the idea that in Europe, commissions are much less.
Hmm.
Well, in Europe, they don't pay for the advertising and the websites and all of the things that we do in terms of staging, et cetera, which comes out of, it's our risk. It's the
Yeah,
agent's risk. So there's a balance there that people have to understand and it's what it is.
absolutely. Absolutely. What would you say, or could you share, like a recent win of yours, maybe a lead that you converted to an appointment, or um a, a moment where your brand really stood out? Do you have one of those wins recent?
Hmm. So a recent win I had with it was a family the buying a place. It was a condo for the grandfather and the grandmother because the family lives near here and they wanted the grandparents to come closer. So showed them a bunch of things. They really liked it, but the grandmother was in the hospital and so they were all working without her. She came and saw it and said, I don't like this. Okay. And so what do we do here? And they could have walked away, but they were engaged and I was engaged and I was enjoying working with them. So they decided to buy the place anyway and rent it out immediately for a few years until, things evolved for them. So there was the whole business shifted and it's okay. It worked. We got the sale done. I was the seller's agent. So they bought it and immediately rented it out to somebody who I've met and wonderful, wonderful person moved in. So, when I first met this family and they said, okay, I want to buy a condo for my father, I had no idea this was going to happen. And that's the short story I gave you.
Yeah,
It was very much more complex than that, but it all works.
that's awesome. Um, if you were to go back in time to Ed as the first day agent, what do you think the advice you would give yourself, knowing what you know now, is?
Oh, just to be open and you never stop learning. As I said before, this industry has evolved and evolved and evolved. And to go in and say, okay, now I've passed my test and I know you know, the fence post has to be 3 inches from the edge or whatever it is. Um, it's all stuff you need to know, but you can always learn that later. The real key is working with people. Learn how to work with people, learn how to help them over the cliffs and have empathy for what they're going
Yeah,
through because it is often an issue.
yeah. No, that's very valuable. Um, how do you protect your mindset, like when you're in a situation, whether somebody ghosts you or somebody's going through something and can't move on to the next stage, or the rejection you deal with, just naturally being in business and kind of, the sales side of it.
Well, rejection, I mean, I've been involved in sales for many years, so I get the rejection. I have a daughter who's been an actress, and I really learned about rejection watching her. But that's the way these businesses are. Um, I'm just thinking, so I'm working with someone right now who I've known through other ways for many years, and he called me and said, "I'd like you to sell my house." Um, so I said, "Okay, let's do it." And it needed some painting, it needed some of this and some of that, and it just keeps adding on. Right now, they realize they need a new septic tank, so we're working on that. So it's a long path for him and for me. Um,
Yeah.
but we're taking the steps and doing one piece at a time and we will get there. So and he's acknowledged that and I know that. So I don't know if that answers your question, but
No, I think it does
it
a
you
little bit.
you just you keep these relationships together. And I have a lot of clients that I've kept up with.
Yeah,
I have to have coffee with here periodically, or, and it was interesting. There was a house, a condo I sold that, um, there was a tenant in there, a family, and I got to know that family extremely well because I was always there showing the house. And they had a young kid who he and I fell, who was, I don't know, 3 maybe, and he and I fell in love with each other. And since then they've had me over for dinner, and
that's awesome.
it's nice to have those make those friendships and relationships.
Yeah, I guess you never know where you're gonna meet that next relationship or the next potential
No,
client, right?
you never do. You never do. But when I do meet them, I want to make sure they come see the website, and get to, I think the new website especially, has kind of my character in it. It's got,
Yeah,
I changed, I had this discussion with Andrea when we were designing it. I said, I don't want another, head hero picture of the kitchen and et cetera. Everybody
yeah,
sees it. Let's show the outside. And so on the website, the hero picture page, as you are, the picture up front is a picture from a parade in the town of Sudbury, where we're based. To just say, let's have some fun. Let's become part of this
yeah,
community, and
exactly.
we'll see if that theory works. But I think it will.
I mean, if you have images of landmarks or different things that people in the area are going to kind of get that immediate familiarity, then they start to reminisce, or that starts to really draw in. You tap into them emotionally to choosing you or the area, and that's really what it's all about. Is like, how can you get on that level with them so that you become that
Right.
trusted advisor for them?
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah,
And testimonials. I mean,
absolutely.
my website's full of testimonials. I always ask for them, and I'm always pleased to see them as well.
Is there a specific way that you go about asking for like a testimonial or anything? Because I see a lot of agents kind of miss the bar on that, or they're like, "Oh, I asked and then I got to know." And is there anything that you do specifically, or what's your process on that end?
It's not that complex. I ask them. I mean, there are some tools out there too that, will send it, ask them to give a testimonial. But I just ask them. I say, hey, it was a pleasure working with you, and would you mind writing a brief testimonial about
Yeah,
our experience? And it works.
I I think that it gets lost how simple something can be,
Right.
right? And it's like we as humans want to like overcomplicate it, yet we want to find the easy path to it. And then sometimes we talk ourselves out of doing something as simple as like, just asking for that review,
Right.
right? I mean, you worked
Right.
with them for how long to get that transaction done?
Months,
Yeah,
maybe longer, maybe years.
yeah, true. Um, what has been a challenge right now in the industry that you're noticing, whether it's challenging you or challenging the industry in general, um, for others?
All the changes in the rules right now are challenging in Massachusetts, and I think in other states too now. Um, the If it's a rental, the rental agent can't you can't bill a rental agent fee into it, um,
Mm,
which is which I sort of get because if you're looking at a rental apartment, there's many people have to pay the first month, the last month, the risk insurance, and they're
hmm.
paying the agents. So for a $2,000 or $3,000 a month rental, they've got to come up with $10,000 up front,
Yeah,
and it doesn't work. So I appreciate the fact that they're changing that, but on the other hand, the agent needs to get paid, so you've got to figure
yeah,
this out. Same with the whole NAR thing with houses. Um, People have to get paid for their work,
yeah,
and everybody needs to acknowledge that, and whether the seller is going to pay back the agent or the buyer's going to pay the buyer's agent is a discussion that has to happen, and it's uncomfortable
Yeah.
sometimes because you're talking about money and people getting paid, but it's got to happen. And you
Yeah.
just, as you said about the testimonials, you just upfront and say that, this is what's involved. And let's make it happen.
Yeah. Yeah. And with that too, it's like at the end of the day, the buyer is paying the commission regardless.
Right.
And I think that that part is what got lost in the mix and the communication of it all. But it if somebody's not buying the house, nobody's making anything. So who's really paying that commission?
Right.
However you look at it, right?
Right.
Um,
And that's how, the way I often explain it to people is to say, it's just words of the money is flowing differently, but it's all coming from the same place.
yep, exactly. Exactly. What do you have at the forefront? Like what are from a marketing standpoint, what are some of the things you're working on next for your business? What would you say?
Um, I continue to try, as I said before, you need to have the human aspect and you need to have the website, the technical aspect. You need to make yourself known. So I get involved with some town events. There's a new kids program in the town that I sponsor, and
Yeah,
get to know some of those people because they've obviously already moved to town and they have their kid, but they're going to move again, and they
yeah,
have other friends. So constantly keeping up with communicating and sending people emails and ideas is part
yeah,
of it. Um, and then social media and spending the money on um, getting recognized and boosting
yeah,
listings, etc. And I try to, if I'm boosting a house for sale, I try to also talk about the fact that, this may just be a representative of what we've got. I'm not just trying to sell that house, I'm trying to
yeah,
sell the service.
yeah. Yeah, it's like being able to kind of juggle the different types, right? My brand, the listing, this, that, but
Right.
not always be the one that's out there only when you have a listing. I think
Right.
that's what a lot of agents only focus on. Hey, I got this listing. Hey, I got this listing. But Gary Vaynerchuk, I don't know, he's mass marketer. I don't know if you've heard of him. But he has a book and it's called Jab, 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 Right Hook. And it's about like that kind of social media like presence. Like most agents right now do the right hook, like the sales pitch, the sales pitch, the sales pitch. But the piece that gets missed is the jabs, right? Where it's like, here's some
Mhm.
value. Here's what's going on in the industry. Here's what's going on in the community. Here's this. Hey, by the way, here's a listing, right? Hook, right?
Yep.
And so the way that he explained it was great on that end. And I think, and that's a big part of what we're trying to get out there too with agents. I don't know if you've downloaded our visibility playbook or anything. I'll have Andrea shoot it over to you. But it's about like you've got to have the visibility to get the traffic, to get the leads, to get the appointments, to get the this to that. Like it's all top of funnel, but it starts with the visibility.
Right.
And that's the one thing that we really try to focus on with agents is understanding that it is a math number. And if you don't have this, you're never going to get this.
Right.
Um, how do you stay consistent with it?
Um, I try to, I mean, it's the old viral goals of internet work anyway, and marketing. How to you've got to find other hooks, other ways that besides, here's a colonial house in Sudbury. One of my focuses is I sort of mentioned in the beginning when we first started talking about mid-century modern. I love mid-century modern homes. I like to take people to see them, and I think they're neat and they're always well thought through. So when I can find a mid-century opportunity, I'm extra passionate about it,
Yeah,
and I talk about that.
yeah,
Um, and so that's, some, if I can hook on those specialties, because here in New England, the standard is a colonial mid-century
yeah,
mid-entry house. but you know, I sort of learned that actually when my wife and I first looked for our first house around here. Um, you know, I had a great agent. She's still a friend of mine. She's, you know, she's a great model because, you know, 30 some odd years later, she still says hi, Ed. But but she quickly caught on, you know, and said, you know, you don't want to see these houses. So taking care of people's time and helping them focus and sharing passion when you see it is a element.
Which is something you're going to get from an actual agent. And what a lot of people don't see when they talk about the I buyer, the I agent, the I sell, right? Is
Mhm.
like a lot of people have this belief that, oh, agents will go away someday, but I completely disagree.
Oh yeah,
Um, like just like that, you said you have to get to know them. Like you're gonna miss that connection, that listening factor, that engagement factor to figure out what is it that they're saying or communicating, but not verbally communicating.
right.
Um, and then you listen through those things and pair them up with the right house. And I'm a firm believer that an agent isn't going to go anywhere. Um, if anything, it probably will reduce the amount of agents out there, which just means more opportunity for you.
We we hope so. Yeah. Um,
Uh,
so yeah, the you know, but those relationships last forever. I mean,
mhm.
if I wasn't, well, when we'd sold our house of right pre-COVID, that's how I tell
Yeah,
time. Um,
right.
and I called, you know, and I worked for another agency at the time, and we weren't allowed to sell our own house. And that woman that I mentioned that sold us our first house in town, I called her back and she did it for me.
Yeah.
You know, 30 some odd years later. So
Never burn a bridge. It's always about the connections
you
and
got it.
maintaining those relationships. Well,
Even
that's
better than
awesome.
burning a bridge, keep building bridges.
Keep
Yeah.
building them, right? Keep
Yeah.
building them. All right. I know we're running out of time here. Just if there was another agent asked you for advice today, right? What's the one thing you would tell them that you wish you knew earlier?
Um, I guess that, you know, the end of the day, real estate's it's about people. It's about listening, solving problems, negotiating transactions, helping families find a place they truly love. You know, it's much more than looking at a house and saying, you know, do you want to buy this? So, you know, if you can have that, if you can come up with that passion, I mean, I don't know how
Yeah.
you do that. I have it. So, but you have to have that passion and strong tools and partners like Ravis and like Agent Elite and some other companies I work with like some content, etc.
Yeah.
You put them all together in a unique way and you make it happen and for a new agent you also have to they also have to realize that the first 2 or 3 years you know, you probably have a friend or two that will sell their house, but you've got to start building those
Hmm.
relationships and those second level relationships. It's like, you know, when you go to LinkedIn and it's the second and third connection,
Yep.
um, it's the same thing with the housing.
Yeah.
You've got to make sure people in their conversations with their friends say, "Oh, I got a good agent. I call Ed
Yeah.
Weisberg," and take it from there. So that's you've got to have that mindset. You have to think that way and keep plugging.
Yeah. No, I love that. I love that. Hey, real quick, have you downloaded the mobile app, Max Mobile or Max for Real Estate?
No, I've not.
Okay. I'm gonna get Andrea to connect with you. But it's in the App Store, whether it's
Yeah.
Google or Apple. What it does is it connects kind of the website, the back end part to you. It'll
Hmm.
send you push notifications when somebody's looking or browsing or does a safe search. And it's also got some gamified ness to it where it's gonna remind you and alert you like, hey, reach out to 5 people today, add 3 contacts today,
That's great.
reach out for a referral or anything. So instead of being behind the computer, because I know that you're not always there, that app is going to be hugely beneficial for you just to your CRM, your back end on the go.
Sounds great. Yeah.
Okay. I'll have them walk you through that. I'm really excited to see what's to come with your website, especially the new one, and just see all the new additions you have out there. I appreciate the time you gave us today, Ed. Any last words you have for anybody out there?
Um, no, I think we've said it. You want to
Yeah,
deliver the best results for your clients. And we didn't really talk about the fact that there are really two parties, there's the buyers and the sellers.
there is.
And in an ideal situation, you walk away from both of them respecting you and appreciating what you've been able to do in terms of negotiation, et cetera. So you've got to be fair to everybody.
Yeah,
Um, and and hopefully they all love you and they all send all their friends to see you and
yeah,
it keeps going.
absolutely. I love that. Today's buyer is your future seller. So just
Exactly.
remember that. All right. Well, it's been another episode of the Elite Zone, and I appreciate everything, Ed, and I can't wait to see the new things that you do and just continue in the partnership and your growth. Thank you for being here today.
Thanks, Shauna. Appreciate the time too. Okay. You
Absolutely.
take care. Bye.
Bye.